make of the Uganda's economy right now amidst this COVID-19 situation?
No, the economy has to be a little bit frustrated because it is everywhere. It's not just in Uganda. It is a fact from a reasonable point of view that the prevailing circumstances can't leave the economy where it was before. The economy is going to be greatly affected, but let's pray to Allah that He sees us through this hard time, and we shall survive. Otherwise, the economy has to be affected at all costs.
What advice do you give to government to handle the current situation? Because it's an emergency.
No, government has already come out with a loud voice. The president has addressed us on a few occasions, and he has really given directives on what we should do. And I can see government trying to give people food relief that are in their homes. I've personally also contributed 100 million shillings towards food relief. I think government for now is managing and is doing a very good job.
You talked about a number of projects that you think government can adopt. Agro-processing, focusing on other projects.
Apart from the pandemic that is at hand at this particular moment, from a genuine and realistic point of view, I'm of the view that we need to look at development of the nation at large. And as Ham, on a personal individual level, I happen to have invested approximately 2 billion shillings in a research on how this economy can survive and how it can grow. And I divided Uganda into 10 agro zones because I believe Uganda is naturally very gifted when it comes to good fertile soils, when it comes to the good climate, and when it comes to the young, energetic, productive currently population. So I believe if these three factors are brought together and we make Ugandans productive, actually by looking for demand for agro produce, we can see this economy take off. I'm of the view in the research I did that Uganda has 10 agro zones. I broke each zone in accordance with the kind of agro product that comes from such area. Like you can see the west, they have milk and livestock produce. Then in the center, we have the likes of maize. So if we did these agro-integrated processing plants, we would create demand for farmers' produce. And first and foremost, would create what we call import substitution. Currently, we are importing things for approximately $7.8 billion, which I find a little bit high. If we can produce some of these things here, would improve on our exports and decrease on our imports. That way, increasing the amount of income and money in the economy. But also, on the other hand, we would also look at the regional markets, the likes of these, you see like all these countries like Burundi, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, they are also in need of these products. So if we put these additional value factories here in Uganda, we can really exploit the regional market, the domestic market, as well as the international market. That is going up to the Middle East, going up to Europe, and I believe if we looked at such a direction, we would see this economy take off. In a period of approximately maximum 10 to 15 years, Uganda would be one of the most developed countries standing. We need to look at how we can exploit and explore from a reasonable point of view what we have at hand, rather than looking at donations and taking loans all the time. I think the government can take off. Like, for instance, I've told you, currently we are approximately 42 million, but out of which you find that we have 1 million Ugandans that are registered taxpayers, direct registered taxpayers with 10 numbers, leave alone the indirectly payers of taxes. So, if we have only 1 million people paying taxes, how can they depend on 41 million? It is, you can't even expect government to develop with such a circumstances at hand. We should just make Ugandans productive where they stand in their rural areas. A Ugandan must be able to grow, to be born in Arua, study in Arua, survive in Arua and die in Arua. That means when there are prevailing circumstances for them to earn and also develop themselves at an individual level, but at the end of the day, develop the societies and the country at large.
You talked about something the President has been emphasizing, the one that concerns import substitution.
Yes.
Can you elaborate more about this?
Yeah, import substitution can only come in. We import because we currently don't have factories here that are manufacturing things we import. So by going into a robust agro-processing, integrated processing units actually, not unit, you find that we shall have created a substitute for majority of these things that we've been importing from outside, and that way even increasing on the income, because we'd be selling out still, would increase on our imports and decrease on our, we would increase on our exports and decrease on our imports. That way having substitution and increasing on the income.
Let's get to the issue of the banks, because right now we are seeing banks are handling on their clients.
An economy from a realistic and reasonable point of view is like a pyramid or a puzzle. All these things are interconnected. I've heard outcries that banks should simply forgive some loans and all, but banks don't have capacity to forgive loans, in that, you see, majority of these banks are operating in depositors' capital. They actually don't own capital in most cases. Now, like, I would give you a case in point. A bank like DTB, this bank has assets and liability. Share capital, it has approximately 1.6 billion, out of which 1.2 is depositors' capital. So, you see, depositors bring in money as savings and deposits, then they give it to a third party as a loan. So literally they don't have, they don't own this money. So this is a little bit technical, just like I was talking about rent.
So you want to say it's unfortunate that the majority of the banks use depositors' money to transact their business?
Actually, the biggest problem we have in Uganda today is our banking sector. You find that majority of these banks are foreign. That is number one. And you see foreign banks, all they do is profit repatriation, despite the fact that they are operating within our capital. But they repatriate all the profits they make. So at the end of the day, banks come in with very minimal, small capital of approximately 30 to 60 billion. For as long as they can secure the requirement by Bank of Uganda, the 25 billion, and some little money, and they come establish a structure, then they start advertising and lower in Ugandans to deposit in money. When Ugandans deposit in money, that creates their core of capital. Say they are operating within our capital. Actually, government should request banks to bring in reasonable capital into the country. Majority of these banks are really under capitalized, and despite the fact that they brought in, that's why they have high interest rates to give, and at the end of the day, despite having very limited lower capital, at the end of the day, they even exploit the profits they make under the disguise that these funny laws that banks can't invest here. Let them get investment hands. You may not invest within a bank limited, but you can have an investment company. Let them keep this money here. That is why you can't move forward. Now, like these ideas of agro-processing and value addition, had these banks brought in more capital, or were they reinvesting money they make off our money as depositors in our country, wouldn't be having capital problems.